Hey, listeners. I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you ever have a feeling where you're just going nowhere in life? My question to you is, what would happen if you changed the trajectory of your life? Imagine what your life would be like if you started knocking down your goals, you gained more confidence, and you understood your gifts and how to use them. Listen, how you feel right now, you're not alone. Millions of people feel like this, but you don't have to stay stuck in these feelings. This is where Versatile Success's signature program, Lost and Found, will help you. The Lost and Found program is a 30-day online program that'll change the trajectory of your life. Don't just take my word for it. Joaquin says, I've always struggled with trying to figure out who I am, what my strengths are, and what my weaknesses are. This program helped me unlock my superpowers, and by knowing that, gave me confidence in things I wanted to achieve in myself. So again, I ask you, what would happen if you changed the trajectory of your life? Find out by clicking the link on our Facebook page and enroll today. Oh, and make sure you enter the coupon code LostandFound-Infiltrate to receive $200 off the program just because you're a listener of our podcast.
This episode of Infiltrate Radio Podcast is brought to you by our amazing sponsors. Podbean is an easy and powerful way to start a podcast. Everything you need for a successful podcast. No difficult technology to learn. For our listeners only, go to podbean.com/infiltrate radio and get your first month of podcast hosting absolutely free. Again, that link is podbean.com/infiltrate radio. The show is also brought to you by Akioka Pet Boutique. Use the link posted on our Facebook page with the link to the show and use code InfiltrateRadio25 at checkout, and you save 25% on any purchase from Akioka Pet Boutique. All your pet supplies, toys, etc. So again, go to the link on our Facebook page, click on it, and use code InfiltrateRadio25 at checkout and save 25% on absolutely any purchase. In addition, we'll post the links to any products we talk about during the show, such as the drinks we're enjoying or any other items we mentioned. So if you really want to help us out and support the show and keep us going, click on any of those links we post, and the show gets a portion of the purchases that you make. So you get drinks, you get products, you help to keep the show going, and we get to not be living out on the street. So again, just click on any of the links in on any of our posts that typically go to Amazon or other affiliates. So thank you guys for all your support, and here's another episode.
Infiltrate Radio.
See the stream is live on Facebook. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it goes live. We would do the whole episode, but we really want to have it mainly on YouTube because we get better quality, and I can do some cool effects and stuff. So, all right, so it looks like we are live on Facebook as we speak. Biz is not with us currently, but will be joining us in a few moments. He was having some technical issues, but we are in episode number 62. I'm Patrick Joanne, and I'm Biz the Chance. And on today's show, we've got Christopher Cardwell from Good News Photography. Chris, thank you, man, for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yo, thanks for having me on, and man, it's pretty exciting, man. I've been hearing a lot of good things about the show, so I'm glad to be on.
Yeah. And we ran into each other doing another interview for Scott Fitzgerald for that Bottom Feeders movie, in kind of the green room there. I was, I'll admit, I was having a couple of drinks there. I was having a long day, so I had a few. But that was a lot of fun, and I was like, oh shit, man, I didn't know you were even a part of the movie. I mean, I wasn't acting in it or on the crew or anything. I just kind of gave one of my songs to the film. But did you happen to go to the premiere or anything?
I didn't get a chance to because I think I was out of town when they actually did the actual premiere. Okay. But man, it was a great project, man, to be a part of. Man, I did the still photography for the movie, and then I actually played the photographer on the on the prime part. You can only see the back of my head. You can't see my face.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, I didn't recognize that you were even in it. Oh man.
That was me taking the photos for that short period of time. But yeah, man, it was a really fun project to be on. Shout out to Scott and Steve, man. They did an amazing job, and all the actors did an amazing job. I was actually watching the movie last night.
Where'd you watch it on? I think it's
Amazon.
Amazon, right? Yeah, what I did was I downloaded the movie we're talking about is called Bottom Feeders by I think did he direct and produce it? Scott Fitzgerald and
the Scott and Steve.
Steve Miller.
Yep.
So it's on Amazon. I think it's on Prime now too, where you can stream it. if I'm not mistaken. And then I just saw too he entered it into like the Cannes Film Festival and all that kind of stuff too. But what I did was I had downloaded it because I had not seen really any of it. I mean, I saw screenshots and stuff, and probably some of your photography too, like the behind the scenes stuff. I downloaded it, and then I was kind of skimming through to see if I could find my song, and I didn't want to watch too much of it before I wanted to be at the theater watching it. So it was cool to like be there. It was weird though. I haven't been to the movies since all this COVID stuff. I don't know if you have like been in a movie theater.
No, I haven't been to the movies yet. No.
Okay, so
I had it set up real weird, like the social distancing seating or something like that.
Yeah, because they had taken up pretty much the whole theater, all the cinemas within it. So there was like I think 4 or 5 of them that were showing the movie. So it was really spread out. So even though there was a huge amount of people that came to it, because you had to be spread out, it felt like there was only like 5 or 6 people in each theater thing. So I'm hoping we get back to semi-normal here coming up because I don't know, I'm going a little crazy. I'm definitely a people person.
With the corona, man, it's definitely changed the way people have to live their lives and things like that. I mean, this social distancing thing is really whack. I definitely have to admit, definitely been affecting a lot of people's businesses. It has affected my business some too. So, man, when we can take out those masks and live a normal life again, I'd be so happy. But for some reason, I have a feeling things will never go back to how it used to be. I don't know why I feel like that, but I just have a feeling it might not.
I absolutely agree. I think there's like a bunch of people that have been kind of affected, kind of PTSD from this whole thing too, and won't, no matter how normal I guess it gets, how many people are vaccinated and immune to it and all that, it probably won't change. People will be wearing
even with the vaccination is not 100%. Like you won't get it. I know my aunt, she got vaccinated and she still ended up catching the corona after. I think it like makes the symptoms like
much
not
less
as bad, but I mean, what's the point of getting a vaccination if you still can get the virus? I didn't get that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least I think the point of it is to not end up in the hospital essentially.
Right.
Right. That's much better than being in there on one of those ventilators or whatever they're doing now. I don't even know what they're doing now. But I'm hoping that especially with your business, man, I know you're taking pictures of people and you got to kind of get close and personal sometimes with people, and with the film business too. It's like the way you do that is with people being next to each other. Sometimes like, even when you cheat shots, you know what I mean? Sometimes people's faces are like this, even though they look far away in the shot, So did you work throughout the whole thing, or did you kind of have to shut down for a while?
Things did slow down for a little while, especially March of last year. And when that happened, I kind of had to figure out like a different route to create an income, because photography is my full-time job. So I kind of started doing trading in the foreign exchange market, which has been a godsend for me, because I started making a good profit out of that, been able to pay my bills until my shoots started picking back up. So that's been pretty cool. But when it comes to the photography scene, it's kind of back to normal now. I'm pretty much getting the same amount of bookings I used to get. But when it first hit, it got pretty bad. Yeah. Like I went from maybe doing 1 or 2 shoots a day to maybe 1 or 2 shoots a week.
Why don't we do this too while we're at it, before I forget, while we're still on Facebook Live? Where can people find, if they want to hire you for any photography needs? Chris,
okay, cool. So they can find me on my Instagram, which is I_and_good news. The good news is spelled GOODKNEWS. They can also go to my website, which is goodnewsphotography.com, or if you just type in goodnews.me, M is in Michael, E is in excellent, you can find me as well. Those are my 2 main platforms on Facebook, because it's the Good News Photography Lounge. If you search that, you would find it. You can also Google me. If you Google just the name Good News, you'll see a whole bunch of my work pop up and my website and everything as well.
And why don't we throw this out too? Because I know you've done a bunch of like bigger stuff to, just a couple of higher end things that you've done that you've been a part of that maybe will give some, you know what I mean? People are like, oh shit, he's done that, that usually helps, right? A little bit.
Yeah. So when it comes to some of the more well-known things I've done, I'm pretty sure people are familiar with City Grill. I've shot when City Grill were doing their thing with Rochester Fashion Week and some of their bigger billboards. I shot a lot of that stuff. You can see a lot of my city work because I'm one of the head photographers for the city of Rochester, so I do a lot of work for them.
Yeah.
I've also worked with multiple celebrities like Fabulous, Rick Ross, Machine Gun Kelly, Shirley Ralph and different celebrities like that. So yeah, man, I've been pretty blessed to work a lot of good jobs, man. I mean, work a lot of good photography jobs and network with a lot of cool people. So
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we might have to have a secondary private conversation too. I got to get some good pictures for me and my band too, because I'm starting to get back out there and play some shows, and I'm actually going to start doing some tours, and I need some signage for the stage with my dumb face on it, but maybe you can make it look decent on it.
I thought we could do something pretty dope, man. Yeah, do something real creative.
But we'll do that. One question I do have, so billboards. I mean, is that just? I mean, what kind of resolution are you taking pictures at for billboards? Because obviously you start blowing stuff like that up.
Yeah, so I shoot with what's called a Canon 1DX Mark III, which is super high resolution. So like with those type of cameras, like no matter how big you blow up, the image is pretty good. I mean, the only other camera I could think of that'd probably be better resolution is like a Hasselblad or like a Phase 1 or something like that. But those cameras, you're talking about like $15,000 cameras now at that point.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely got to be high resolution, best quality possible. So
I'll tell the listeners a story before we get into the drinks we're drinking too. But I ran into a good news a long time ago. I was producing this show for RCTV where I was doing I was taking local musicians and I was doing an entire show on them, and they'd perform, maybe one or two songs live somewhere at just some cool location, and then I'd do a little interview with them and all that stuff. And I think we did the interview also in your studio, but we were using the freight elevator for TrueStar for his stuff, and we were filming him, and the lights that I had were just garbage, so I couldn't light it because the freight elevator was dark, and his skin tone's a little darker, so it was like hard to get a nice shot of him. And you saved the day by bringing in your nice lights in there. Got us lit properly, so I appreciate that. And I was like, oh shit, when I saw you at the thing, I was like, I didn't know you were part of Bottom Feeders too. That's how I could tell.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, that's how I could tell you're successful too, because I get around, man, and I've heard you all over the place. Every time I turn around, I hear good news.
Appreciate
somewhere.
That, I work hard, man.
You do. You hustle, man. I'm sure of it. So let's do this because again, we were waiting for Biz, but we're not going to wait for him for the drinks. So I saw you drinking something there. I don't know if it was a bottle of water or something you got. Or you got anything special?
Springs.
A little Poland Spring. Is that your water of choice, or is that just by default?
No, it's just what I have available.
Okay. I would ask you what it tastes like, but I'm assuming most people have tasted Poland Spring.
It's something to drink.
Yeah, and for anyone listening to and watching, the reason we do this segment of the show where we talk about the drinks is because we always post links to what we're drinking during this segment, as well as sometimes we'll post some stuff if we mention a piece of equipment or something that you can find on Amazon. We'll post those links when we post it on Facebook, and if you click on that, we get a little bit of pocket change, and we get to continue to live in our houses/apartments and not live out in the back
in the wilderness, right?
Yeah, or in your driveway somewhere in our car, with with newspapers covering us. So click on the links and tell your friends to go follow us on YouTube and all that stuff, and like us and subscribe to us there, and you really help us out when you do that. So, and for anyone that's done that already, thank you for your support. So Chris, I'm double fisting it today. I'll be honest, I had a long day today, so I've got my caffeine. I ended up going to Starbucks, and I forgot about this. I usually get an unsweetened black iced tea because I got to watch, my post-COVID 15 that you gain, during lockdown. I got to go with the unsweetened. So, but I've got my caffeine here from Starbucks, which is black iced tea, and then I went with a little bit of this stuff. Let's see if I can back it up where you can see it.
What is that?
Some Duggan's Dew.
Duggan's
Dew blended Scotch whiskey.
Good?
So I don't know if I'll be able to post a link where we'll get paid on it, but it's good. And the reason I like it is that when I drink whiskey, I like to drink whiskey. Like, I don't like to feel like this is. I mean, I've got some nice ones too that I just sip on. But sometimes you want to just have a glass of it, mix it with something,
right,
whatever. This is like $18 at the liquor store, but it tastes fantastic. It's not like nice. Oh, this is garbage. I got to just chug it so that I don't have to take it anymore, But it's pretty good. Its
name is pretty funny, Duggan's Dew.
Yeah, Duggins too. I don't know where the name necessarily comes from, but it definitely sounds Scottish. You know what I
So,
mean? Oh, Duggan. I can't do it. I can't do a Scottish accent.
how many times you say that 10 times fast?
I'm not gonna,
Let's do.
try to do it.
Let's do.
What's that behind you too? Are you in your studio now? Is that what you got?
Yeah, so I give you like a little mini tour. So
Yeah, that would be awesome. What's that behind you? That paper? That's for.
these are paper rolls for different colors. It's just nude and black. And I have some of my lighting materials over there I use right there. Then I have like a little shout out to Sarah Rutherford. She's a very famous artist here in Rochester. She did that mural for me there.
Awesome.
Then I got another, well, it's kind of equipment, but you see over there in that area, you have like another, what is that called? Graffiti background, some things over there. Then turn this way, you got my computer.
Nice.
Editing area. Then over here, you have dressing rooms, things like that.
Excellent.
So pretty cool.
All right. Where are you located? You're downtown in Rochester, right? We've got some international.
I'm in the old post office building in Rochester. I'll show you. I actually created down the hall from my studio. I created a facility for people to learn. Like I was talking to you about how I started trading in the foreign exchange market.
Yeah.
Since I did so well in it, I had to create a facility because I wanted to share my community the opportunity. So
before you go,
what's going on?
Before you go in there,
our...
hey Chris, before you go in there and show what's going on, before you go in there and show everybody what's going on, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the Facebook Live feed here. I'm gonna say if you wanna check out what it looks like inside and what we're about to talk about and what he's doing here, which is super cool. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe there, watch the latest video, and you'll get alerted. We usually premiere them, or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Tell your friends and see the rest of it here. I'm gonna kill the live feed, and then we're gonna go inside the facility. So give me a second here. All right, so we've stopped the live feed. Let's check it out. Oh, this is awesome. This is the first time we've been mobile with the video.
So as you see, it's Good Trades Investment Group. I'll take you guys in. Play off my Google News name. And then this is the facility right there. You can see the big logo right there.
Yeah.
Seating area. Got a little area to eat, vending machines.
Now, in this building, are you the only kind of like independent business in there, or are there?
Oh, there's multiple businesses in
there is
creative area, creatives. Got one of my leaders right there, Diamond.
How's it going, guys?
Then you got her daughter right there. She's sitting there trading. Anybody that wants to learn how to trade, she's only 10 years old, turned 50 into $2,000 in a week.
That's how you do it. Oh, that's
positive
awesome.
mind, positive grind right there. That's what I'm all about.
All right. So what are you doing? So you're doing like classes where you teach basically.
So we actually I'm more of I would say a mentor. I'm not really a teacher. So we use a platform called I Am Mastery Academy. And I Am Mastery Academy, basically, they're the #1 platform for trading in the foreign exchange market and tools that they give you to actually trade in the foreign exchange market. So I use that platform for my students to learn off of, but then I'm there and then some of my leaders are there. So if they're not understanding things properly or they want to go more in depth in it, I'm there to help them. And then we also trade live, or we go off of live trades with the educators of I Am Mastery Academy, because of course, trading in the foreign exchange market, it's not a super easy thing to do. Yeah. So we use the educators. To be an educator on the I Am Academy platform, you had to have made $1 million in the market in a year. So just meaning that these educators know exactly what they're doing. So they go live and we're able to watch their live trades, take their trades with them at the same time while they're doing it and learn. So we say, earn while you learn,
Well, let me ask you this. So for those listening and watching that don't know what foreign exchange is, what exactly are you doing there? So the
foreign exchange market it's like the stock market, but it's instead of trading stocks, you're actually trading live currencies from all over the world, like the Japanese yen, the Australian dollar, the US dollar, All these currencies are represented on the foreign exchange market. And by understanding the correct strategies and when to hop in trades in the right time, and the cool thing about this is, right, like the stock market, when the stock market is going up, you're having a good day. It's going down, you're having a bad day. But with the Forex market, no matter whether the market is going up or down, you can make money. It's just all about knowing the correct strategies to get in and when to get out the right times. It can be profitable. It's really cool.
Interesting. So yeah, typically when I invest, I'm doing things like index funds, and I'm kind of across the market in terms of the stock market. I haven't gotten too much into the foreign exchange stuff. You know, I've got some stuff in like real estate and all that stuff. That's awesome that you're kind of teaching. Especially, you said she's how old? 10 years old.
10 years old, yeah. So Diamond, she's a single mother, and she brings her children to the lounge, you know, so you know she can help make herself better at the craft.
Yeah.
And her daughter, just watching what we do in the lounge, she's been able to learn. And her Diamond created her daughter a live account, and in a week or two, she took $50 and turned it into $2,000.
Nice.
So if a 10-year-old could do it, and anybody could do it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to come down and take some classes from you.
Check it out, right?
How often do you do that, man? You are hustling. You're getting all over the place,
man,
dude.
I trade every day. So usually I do my trading in the morning. Try to get it out the way, and then from that point on, I'm focused on photography and getting that done. So.
Yeah. Is it?
And I have a clothing line as well too, so I work on that.
So what's the clothing line? Let's throw that out there too.
Clothing line is called Good News Apparel. It's basically a clothing line built for creatives and built for people that are in the industry of photography. Actually, I got to send a couple of hoodies out, but I'll show you. I can actually show you.
Yeah.
Here. Here's one of the hoodies we have right now. As you can see, it's like a cameraman.
Oh, that's dope. Huh.
One of the hoodies that we offer right now. This is already
my daughter would love that. Is that the pockets like hanging down the?
Yeah, so it's a little different design. I call this the Broken Anatomy hoodie. So,
right. Yeah. Are there buttons where you can put that back up and then let it down like you're?
Actually, no, there isn't. But that's a good idea. I might try something like that for the next design.
Yeah, you have something that you could reveal. You know what I mean? Like you're about to show something. Oh, that's cool, man. I'm gonna have to check it out. I'll go on.
I got a website for it. It's just gkapparel.com.
All right.
If you guys want to check it out, but yeah, definitely, man. We'll have to get you.
Yeah, I'll get my daughter something. She rocks. We had a Johnny Jeffries on here too from Golden Road, and so she's got one of his hoodies that she wears to school all the time. So she's the coolest kid in her grade school. So what you seem like you're pretty much into everything, man. I find like you're the exact kind of person that I love to have on the show because I feel like you come from a creative background, but you've somehow managed to, which is super difficult, if not almost impossible to do, is to turn like a creative enterprise that you're doing into something that is making you a living. Maybe you're not rich already, but you're making a living off of doing what you like to do. And it may not necessarily be just your photography or doing, your artistic stuff. I feel like almost even your business there is a creative endeavor, like the foreign exchange stuff. By building it, and having people be part of that experience and learning from it, I could tell you're like excited about the people that are learning it and figuring out how it works and seeing their their eyes light up. What prompted that in you? Like was your family
my brother is the one that actually got me involved in, so big shout out to my little brother Anthony. He's amazing when it comes to trading in the market and being a part of IM Academy. When the corona hit last year and my shoes started slowing down, I actually went to him like, yo, what do I need to do to see profits in the market? Because working for myself for so long, I'm like, I'm not about to go get a job. I'm trying to figure out what can I do to bring in the income until my shoots start picking back up. So he started teaching me the craft, showing me what I needed to do, helping me plug into my products and the educators for IM Academy, and I started doing very well. And when I started doing well, I started thinking to myself, well, how could I help more people in my community maybe do the same thing? Because it's not, once you start understanding the market, it's not a super hard thing to do with the product. Super to do.
Chris, hold on.
So
you froze
decided to.
You froze up there for a second. Just repeat
that
last.
Okay.
You said something about the market not a super difficult thing to do. Is that what you said?
Oh, okay. So with all the tools that App Academy gives you, it makes it a lot easier to trade in the market and to develop an income. So I started thinking to myself, well, how can I share this with my community? So I started, telling people about it and sharing it with them. Then a lot of people kept telling me, like, I learned better in person. These videos are cool, but I really need one-on-one interaction. So I said, okay, I'm going to create something where people can get one-on-one help, interaction, and be able to be in an environment where they can feel good, have a safe place to trade, and get the help that they need. So I created the Good Trades Lounge, and I've had it open since about August of last year, and things have been going great with it, man. I'm very excited about the progress, and I'm excited about the people that it's helping. Single mothers and people that are re-entering back into the society from jail and things like that. So just helping them multi-facet different people see success.
Let me ask you that: is it like a nonprofit thing, or are you doing like classes, like it's a paid class, that sort of thing that you're giving?
So they wouldn't actually pay me. They wouldn't actually pay me. They just pay the platform, I Am Mastery Academy, and get their classes. Gotcha. And then I open up the facility to them, for free to come in and actually be there and trade. And if they need help, to get the help. That's no, it's not a nonprofit. So, I was thinking about developing a nonprofit.
No, I think
people, if they don't have the money to pay the program to do it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think in order to scale something like that, because it's you're giving something back to society in general, right? When you're doing something creative, I think people tend to think like it's hard to charge for that, or there's a lot of individuals, like I was saying, it's difficult if not impossible to turn a creative endeavor into something that is sustaining even just itself, right? And right. I think you shouldn't feel bad, because a lot of creative people, my camera will come on there in a second. There we go. They sometimes feel bad about charging for stuff, and I don't think we should, because I think in order to scale stuff like that and to continue to give back better and better, product, but better conditions for learning experience. In order to have that, you've got to pay rent for the space there. You've got to have computers, it look like, in there. You've got to have the air conditioning on and not have it be freezing.
It takes capital.
Yeah, it takes some capital.
Yeah, so it takes capital.
And then in the end, it's helping these multitudes of people. And I think with any business, that's what ends up happening. You have employees. You're giving employees pay, and they're going and feeding their families based upon this creative thing. And I think what I was asking earlier was almost a deeper question, is like, how did you get into, because you started doing photography before this, as a job, not as a job, but as a an entrepreneurial endeavor where you're making money off of it. And that jump, people will take pictures for their Instagram, or, I'm a photographer or whatever. Here comes Biz, just casually being cool, jumping into the conversation. I'm going to give him shit when he comes in. All right. Finally, Biz decided, he's not in the audio yet. Hold on.
Finally got it working.
Oh, again, he's trying to be cool. Yeah, but casually late, Biz, right? To the show. He's muted and everything. All right. So, but the deeper question I was trying to get into was like, most people, to make the jump from I'm just taking pictures of trees, or my girlfriend or whatever, to I'm going to turn this into a business. What I found by talking to individuals that do that successfully, is usually there was some sort of inspiration in their life that made that seem possible. Does that make sense? So like, I don't know, someone in their family was in the industry doing that already. So it wasn't like this pipe dream where like, oh, other people can do that, but I can't do that. Mm-hmm. Did you have someone like that, like as you were growing up, or in your family, that was doing creative stuff? Or was it something where you were kind of pioneering I'm going to work for myself?
That's a good question. So, in my family are all creatives. So when I say creatives, I mean like art, drawing, and things like that. So I come from a creative family. My father and my mother are both entrepreneurs. So I've grown up just seeing them and watching them run their own businesses. And when I graduated from college, I actually I moved back to Ohio to, live with my dad and work for his company. And that's how I learned a lot about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is that where you're from? Are you from Ohio originally?
Yes, yes. I'm from Cleveland originally.
Oh, right on.
So when I moved back to Ohio from Hampton, Hampton is in Virginia. I went to Hampton University. I got a bachelor's in psychology from Hampton. When I moved back to Ohio
No shit.
for my father's company, things went really well. Things were going really well for the first year and a half. And he had the company for over 10 years. I mean, before I was a part of it. And then he ended up taking the company public through reverse merger. And after that happened, some of the people tried to do like a hostile takeover type of deal for the company. And we ended up losing the company. And I ended up losing everything at that time. But from being a part of the company, I learned about business and how to run a business, how to treat people and things like that. So when I came to Rochester, my mother's from Rochester. So I actually came to Rochester for a 4-day trip. I wasn't supposed to really live here, but I came to Rochester July of 2009. I brought 4 outfits with me and my camera. And I had just picked up photography as a hobby before I left Ohio. In Ohio, me and my frat, we had started a company called Front Work Entertainment. Big shout out to Corey Amos and Eric Clark out in Ohio. And we had a company where we had models and we did club promotions and all these things. We had a photographer that we were working with during the time. And we actually had to stop working with the photographer because he was being, doing unprofessional business practices with our models and things like that. So since we didn't have a lot of money, we were trying to figure out how to get a photographer. And I kind of like played around with it at a couple of different shoots. Like he let me use the camera and I had a good angle. I didn't understand lighting, but I had good angles and I could understand I knew framing and things like that because I just had an eye for it. So, so until we could find another photographer, I had just started doing it for our company. So then when I moved to Rochester and I had my camera and everything, I'm just like, okay, well, I couldn't find a job within my major. And I'm like, well, let me see what I can do with this photography thing. And I just started taking it seriously, started reading every book I could find, watching YouTube tutorials, trial and error, and, putting it out in the universe, what I wanted to do, what I wanted, thinking positive. And, the universe brought me what I wanted, and I'm very blessed to be where I'm at today and being able to build what I have today.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it so I know you're saying the universe and you mean that because you're grateful for it, but I think that comes from you doing it and pursuing it. You know what I mean? I think there's
right.
I think there's you have and I've talked about this on the show before too. There's this belief when you start doing it, almost like people call it vision, and it's difficult sometimes to get people that have never created something to go along with that or believe that vision. So sometimes people think you're gonna be a photographer. You went to school for psychology. Why aren't you why aren't you a psychologist or that sort of thing? And I've gotten that too with music and other things that I've done. And it's interesting because I've noticed when I embark upon something like that I have this very clear idea of what the end thing looks like of me doing it. Mm-hmm. And it may not be this, the actual end of it. It may be, this is going to be how it's structured and me doing it looks like this. And I almost envision myself in that position, almost the fake it till you make it, but it's not really that. It's like, I'm already there. It's a possibility. And I think that I'd like to get to the bottom with myself to be able to describe to people how you come to that decision, because it's easy for people to, again, put it in a box and say, well, Chris did it, but it's not something I couldn't just not work a regular day job and be a photographer, even though I love it, even though I'm good at it. To take the risk to rent a spot, and become a quote unquote photographer, right? Mm-hmm. Is like, in some people's mind, I think is such a giant jump. But for you, it almost seems like it was just a natural, like, yeah, I'm going to do this, right?
I would definitely say it's something that I worked hard towards. Like, I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but sure. I would say the difference between me and some of those other people is just having the belief in yourself to go out there and do it. That's really the biggest difference. Sometimes people get in their head that they can't do something because when they put in their head that they can't do it, I mean, you put that energy out there, you're just not going to be able to do it. But if you put it in your head that you can do it, you set a plan, and you work your plan, then you can make it happen without a shadow of a doubt. It's just, you
Now,
just gotta stay consistent. One of the phrases I came up with, or one of the I use for myself, I say confidence and consistency, because having confidence in yourself and then staying consistent at what you do will ultimately bring you the success that you want. So you just got to believe in yourself, and by believing in yourself, you make other people believers too. And I just basically, with my business, I didn't get a studio right off the bat, but I just kind of grew into it. I started, and then as I worked, I started attracting the right things in my direction to build what I needed for my business. So yeah, it's just about staying consistent, confident, having a positive mindset, having a positive attitude, and not giving up. I mean, the universe will bring what you want.
And I think that too. So let me ask you this question. Answer honestly if you can, Chris. So if you were to tell someone that okay, you thought when you moved to Rochester that by now, right, you would be working full time as a photographer. Was there never a moment where you were like, yeah, maybe I should go try and get something in my major, or go work for a company, or try and maybe not do it? Do you feel like there were moments like that?
I mean, I definitely tried to get other jobs, and I had other jobs. The last job I had was I was working for Sutherland and their AT&T program, or in their H&R Block program. But I just really used the job that I had to fund what I really wanted to do. So kind of basic, meaning like using Sutherland, I was using those pays to get new equipment. And then like I did some pictures of the city. I printed out and framed them. I donated them to Sutherland. They actually ended up hanging them in the hallway at Sutherland. I used to bring my portfolio and my camera to Sutherland every day. And as I'm in my little cubicle, I'd be showing people pictures and stuff that I do, and I'd be able to create bookings from that. Then it got to a point where, H&R Block is a tech. So it's like, it comes, it's seasonal. So I had the H&R Block program was done for the season, and I was getting hired back into AT&T because I did really well. I was getting hired back into AT&T at Sutherland to work for AT&T. But a lot of people wanted to shoot with me, but I could never shoot because I'm always at Sutherland because they work you. Right. So I kind of just went to my mom and I'm like, yo, Mom, like, I'm getting a lot of people that want to book me for shoots, but I'm always at work. I don't know what to do. She's like, well, you can always go back to Sutherland, son. Just try photography out, see how it goes. As long as you're taking it seriously and you're working hard and you're not slacking off, I'll help you out as much as I can until, figure out how it's going to work. And with her blessing, I basically did that. I worked as hard as I possibly could at it, booked as many shoots. I perfected my craft, and I've been able to do what I build what I have today. So, I just used my job as a tool to get to the level I wanted to. But when I came to Rochester to tell me like, yeah, you're going to become a celebrity photographer, I never would have guessed that. But, I always thought that I would do something great, but I just didn't know what it would be.
Yeah, and I really do. I mean, it's something, I know it doesn't seem like it necessarily, but it's really something courageous to take a leap into something like that and to say, I'm going to have, even if I fail at it, I want to have control over my life. Because even after, when you said, when the coronavirus thing happened, and you were like, I don't want to go back to working for anyone else. It's very difficult to go back to being like, at the mercy of an employer when you've been able to like support yourself, even if it's scary and it's you almost get used to the adrenaline. Of it.
I honestly can't see myself working another job, for somebody else. Maybe if I got hired at a photography company, but even that, I just being my own. I'm so used to being my own boss, and the way I'm moving my business, and like, when you make $150 an hour, it's hard to go back to make $18 an hour.
Right.
So yeah, and then I just have an entrepreneurial mindset at the point. So it's like one thing my dad taught me, he said the same amount of energy it takes to work for somebody else takes that same amount of energy to work for yourself. So I just rather grow my own businesses and do what I love and have my freedom to do what I want to do instead of making somebody else rich. I want to try to make my own self rich. So.
Yeah, and I think most of the time too, It takes a lot of effort up front, just like you get into a company, let's say like a Fortune 500 company, you go to work for them, and you come in at entry level, you're making whatever it is, 25 grand a year or whatever the base salary is, and you have to work up and up and up. I think the same goes, like, I don't understand, well, I do understand why a lot of people don't have the encouragement and the people in their lives that'll say you can go for it, you could do it, to work for it like that. Because you didn't start out like I'm going to be, I'm making,
Right.
150 an hour and did that, 10
Definitely didn't.
times a
Definitely didn't
day,
start off like
and you're not at the end of this game either. You know what I'm saying? You're still like probably in the middle of, maybe even in the beginning phases of where you're going to be. So I think it's interesting that while you start out kind of small, you build and you build and you build, and you get better and better and better, and your reputation builds as someone being a hard worker and just showing up, which you'd be surprised how much that is the thing that people don't get. There's opportunities, and either they say, there's no way I'm gonna get that, or they kind of sabotage themselves so that they don't have to risk it. And what I think is really cool about you, Chris, man, is that you took that and then you built the learning center there. I think that's one of the biggest things that I see from entrepreneurs, is that they don't tend to take their creative things. So they want to be creative all the time, right? And they want to build things, and they want to make things, they want to make it bigger, and they want other people to experience these things and the joy that they get from doing that. So they just keep creating, and they want to like hand off the day-to-day stuff, because it's day-to-day stuff. I want to create. I want to.
Yeah, it can get hard. The business part of things definitely is like, that's one thing. I'm blessed to be able to business side, and also, be able to work the creative side, or I have a business mind. I guess say that I have a business mind and also have a creative mind. Even though I will honestly say, sometimes even with the business stuff, as a creative, you just want to focus on the creative stuff and not the business stuff. But I've been able to balance both pretty much so far. So, but definitely wish I could just focus on the creative things more. But you can't just ignore the business side of things, like getting your taxes done and things like that. That's make a business run. Like you have to do certain things to have a viable business. So
the paying.
So
the
yeah,
taxes,
I'm definitely, and I've learned those things from working with my father. So
the taxes thing can be a problem. If you don't pay that, they'll come after you real quick.
I remember this problem.
Yeah, one time I opened up an LLC, and for whatever reason, I was like at the point where I was about to. Where I think I actually filed for the tax ID for it too. And then I'd forgotten that I had filed for the tax ID for that LLC. That was just kind of an idea of something I was going to do. And then it was like 3 quarters had gone past. And then I got this notice, like, this is what we're estimating you would have made during this time, because you haven't filed. We're coming after you. And I had to go down and be like, listen, I didn't even start this fucking business. I didn't make anything, all that stuff. So I know exactly. And this was
No.
Yeah, this is when I was
Don't
young.
put me in jail. I didn't even make it money yet, please.
Right. But they'll come after you real quick if you don't. Even if you figure out a way to maybe not pay as much taxes or whatever. You know what I mean? It's still they want it. They want their portion of it for sure. Let's see if Biz can join.
Donald Trump.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah. But I'm glad you're doing well now. So stuff has started to kind of pick up a little bit more now that you're, people are feeling more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. These are going great, man. These are going great. I'm blessed, man. I'm extremely blessed. I can't complain at all, man. Definitely.
Have you started traveling?
Biz, you got it working?
Yeah, I did.
I
did get it working, but my problem is that I can't have my camera or my mic plugged in right now, or it literally boots me off the Wi-Fi. I don't know what's up.
Huh. So what do you do through your?
Sounds good though. We can hear you good.
Yeah, it's probably playing through the AirPods, honestly, but I don't know. I've literally spent 57 minutes trying to get it to work, so I feel like a failure. Thank you.
Well, at least you're finally on. We've had some good conversations, kind of about some stuff that, in the past we've talked about, like him, Chris making the jump to going full time as a photographer, and then what happened during the the pandemic where he opened up. And I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the school already. Chris, hit it one more time.
Good trades,
Good trades. So doing
Good Trades Investment Group.
Yeah, so foreign exchange stuff, and
That's great.
The mindset of being an entrepreneur and making that jump from working a day job to doing what you're doing.
So easy to do. I don't know why everyone doesn't just do it. You know what I mean? Just put yourself out there and just risk it all for a couple failed attempts. Because I mean, it only takes a few to really put you on your ass with that.
Especially Biz, like you got kids. I risked a whole lot. I'm divorced. I'm all messed up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you put all the eggs in the basket and just threw the basket right out the window. You didn't really care.
I go full speed. Yeah, I go full speed or I don't go at all. So, but
that's how you do it.
But no, and Biz, what we talked about too, and I know you worked with Chris. Were you on set with Chris taking pictures?
Oh yeah,
too?
yeah, pretty extensively. Some of the best pictures actually of me on that set came from Chris. So I appreciate that because it was pretty phenomenal.
I was saying because I was watching, I follow the Facebook page for it too, and a lot of the stuff I was seeing was probably his stuff. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, Biz is my boy, man. We definitely had a lot of fun on set. A lot of good talks. Biz was showing me around set. She teach me a couple different things because the set life for me, even though I shot my own movie and everything myself, but for the level of how Bottom Feeders was, that was just a new experience for me. So it was really cool to have them welcome me in with open arms and really show me a lot of love. Just environment, I learned so much. And
it was nice to have you there too. Honestly, it was.
Yeah, I'll tell you, production shots.
Dope, man. And congratulations on the movie coming out, man. It was great.
I have not. Don't tell anyone, but I haven't actually peeped it just yet. I don't want to watch it at home. I wanted to watch it in the theater, and I've had a couple things come up every time I go. So I'm like, do I rent it yet? No, I still need to peep it in the theater.
Still showing it at movie 10?
Yeah, no, it is.
Are they still showing it at movie 10?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's still showing at that spot until I think this weekend coming up is its last weekend. So I'm hoping that I can make it work.
Okay. Yeah, so
I watched it on Amazon last night, actually. So.
Yeah, you got to go, Chris, to a theater. It's just it's a whole different experience to see something you've done on the screen, the bigger screen. So let me ask you this, Chris. So as you've progressed, as you've been taking, photos, because you kind of said you started, and let me just, I've been fooling around with the camera. I've got a relatively good eye. I don't know the technical aspects of lighting and that sort of thing, but when I take pictures, people are generally like, oh, that's a cool shot or whatever. Do you look back at your old stuff and think oh man, what
it's cringy to look at?
Yeah. But not necessarily. And what the real question I'm asking is the progression. Did you take conscious effort to be almost so when I'm on stage, a lot of times I'll take video, but it's not because I'm vain. What I do is kind of like a football player will take video of themselves. I'll watch what I'm doing on stage and I'll alter what I'm doing.
And you go back and do better, right?
Yeah. So you critique it
Yes. One thing about me, man, is I would say I'm probably my own worst critic. So because I just always want to put out the best work I possibly can. And to see where my work has grown, from, 2009 to now is, it's like night and day. So I study I study photographers. So some of my favorite photographers are people like, Jills Greensberg, Art Streiber, Chad Griffin, and photographers like that are on that kind of level. So it's I look at that and I'm like, yeah, let me try to get my work to look as closely, to even my own style, but in terms of the quality like that. So that's kind of what I try, what my inspiration is when I'm looking at different photos and things like that, and where I want to actually take my, but yeah, from now, oh my God, I look at some photos, I'm like, man, I suck back then.
Stop. You were still talented. You were just getting started,
But yeah, I just didn't know. But yeah, but now it's a lot better.
So when I speak to younger musicians, right, and I tell them about either stage or going into the studio, typically I'll give them a tip, when you go in there or you go up on stage, the tendency is to hold back on being a fucking rock star, when you step on the stage or when you go into the,
Mhm.
you know, into the booth, like record something. Don't do that. Let go of
Right.
every bit of like, you know, whatever. That's usually my tip. So like if you were going to give a tip to a photographer, a new and upcoming photographer, right, that's like taking pictures or whatever, and they're doing, I mean, generally what you do is people, right? It's not necessarily
I do everything from
land.
people to food to landscape to weddings. I do shoot people the most, but I really like to say I focus on
Careful with that
creative
terminology,
image.
though.
So
You'll shoot people.
what shoot people the most?
Right.
Right. No,
Talking
but I
about
get,
shooting people.
I'm
That's
a
never
trained
good.
shooter.
Yeah, right.
Um,
A professional button presser, I think they call it, right?
but like what, so
Right.
what do you think is like the biggest thing that younger photographers, or like, or not necessarily younger, but like, you know, less experienced photographers do?
So the biggest advice I would give to an up and coming photographer or somebody just starting is the more you learn. You know, like constantly be shooting. You know, you're only as good as your last shot. So anytime you have an opportunity to take your camera, like for example, like I was telling you the example of Southern, like I was bringing my camera to literally like would set, you know, a bottle on the desk and play around with my ISO, play around with f-stop, play around with the depth of field, see what I could actually create right there. You know, just learning the camera. That's the biggest thing. Like learn your camera. Don't shoot on automatic mode. Make sure you're shooting on manual. Make sure you understand, you know, depth of field, how to create depth. You know,
Yeah.
you know, not have your picture look grainy and things like that. So in composition, how to compose your picture properly and things like that. So there's a great book called Light It, Shoot It, Retouch It. I would definitely recommend that book to any up and coming photographer.
I'll post a link to it. Just
forgive me if we touch base on this already, but the mere fact that you do that, I think, kind of speaks volumes. You know what I mean? A lot of people that I say this a lot of people want to work in film. A lot of people want to act. And the second I hit them up with a paid, unpaid, intern, like whatever, I try to get people mostly paid work. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to work for free, so I expect others don't as well. And I hit people up and I'm like, yo, they need you for an extra. They'll pay you $100 to be a background in this film. And they just start coming up with excuses like, dude, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so the fact that you're willing to, like, I always had that problem too. I used to work at Verizon and I worked in the call center part for a while before becoming like a supervisor. And like, I used to bring like a laptop and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to bang out a couple chapters of this book that I'm going to write. And I would sit there and the laptop would never open because I would be engulfed with the customer. And then I would like, as soon as I was done with that, I'm like, all right, well, I need to go step outside for a few minutes and then come back. And it's like, oh, I got to get back on the phone now. Like I was not good at kind of ensuring that my passion was being fulfilled while also, you know what I mean, fulfilling what I needed to do. I'm very much an all or nothing sort of person, unfortunately, which is why I kind of had to get out of that whole lifestyle in order to excel and really do anything over on this side of it, you know?
Well, I think here's the part. Here's the thing, that as I speak to more and more people, and I haven't mentioned this yet, Biz, but I was waiting for you. But I'm 40 years old now.
Oh my God, stop it! You're almost not
Chris,
40. When is your birthday? I feel like we've been doing this show almost a year.
I'm going to be 41 in September. 41 in September.
Oh,
I mention it every show, Chris. It's just, it bothers. Go ahead, Chris.
I will be 8 next month.
How old? How old did you say? 38?
So I'm right there. I'll be 38 next month, so I'm right there.
Right.
Yo, Chris, I don't ever say this to Patrick, so he might take a little offense, but you look phenomenal for 38, bro. Like, I can't even believe it. Like, I had no idea I actually thought that you and I were either close to the same age or maybe you were a touch younger than me. I didn't realize that you were older than I am.
Biz likes to body shame me.
That's why
he body shames me every episode.
Body shame? Never.
Yeah,
I would never. Stop.
So,
Stop.
No, but I think what's funny is, and what I hear a lot from people that don't end up going for, let's say, whatever their passion is or whatever they want to be doing in life, or they're generally, they feel like the world is against them, is they don't realize the moments of their lives that they're giving up. Because, Chris, I heard you say this too at when you had that job there, you were doing your photography stuff in between, right? There are people that are...
That's impressive.
In between their day job stuff, doing things like just playing a game on their phone, or doing things like, I don't know, let's just sit there and stare, look at memes on Facebook or whatever the thing is. And instead of doing that, your choice was I'm going to use those moments to work and to hustle to get my thing going.
To figure it out, yeah.
And I think people would be surprised if someone objective was to sit back and count the time that is wasted in people's day that they could potentially utilize towards pursuing a goal or a passion or whatever. They'd be surprised. And I think a lot of individuals that have been, I want to say self-made, like you're self-made, you didn't have anyone, here's 50 grand, you don't have to work for 3 years and there you go. Okay? But you found moments in the day where you could pursue the thing that you wanted to do. Same with biz. I've done the same exact thing where I'm in between moments, I'm finding the time to do that. I guess what drives you to do that? Do you know, like, because you took psychology, right, Chris? So I want to know from a psychological level, what drives Christopher Cardwell to take the moments of his life and not waste them and put them towards your work?
I mean, I think ultimately it's because when I think of myself or I visualize myself in the future, I see myself, as a multimillionaire. And you
successful, right? Yeah.
You're not going to become those things unless you work towards it ultimately. You have to put in the work, you have to grind. If I didn't take some of those moments, in between time, and also, not only was I learning, it served as a marketing tool, because as I'm in there and I got my camera in my hand, I'm just sitting there playing around and learning. I got people coming up to me. What are you doing? Oh, I see you got the camera. Oh, you take photos. And now I was starting a conversation. Now people are asking me how long I've done photography. Now people are asking me how to get in contact to get some photos done. So, you have to always be marketing yourself. You have to always be, thinking of your next step. For example, right? I'll show you guys this. Like this is my workstation right here. I got my 2 computers set up, but even as I'm like, oh, this computer's off because I'm getting ready to take it home with me. But like, just to show you guys, like, you look at my computer. I don't know if you guys can see it, but like, I got YouTube videos up on trading, and then I got my charts up here, for trading. And then, so I'll be on my charts right here on one computer, and then I'll be editing my picture on my other computer. So, just trying to perfect the craft of sitting here trading. So it's all about, trying to better yourself, become the best version of yourself possible. And that's like the highest version of self-love, because it's like, you owe it to yourself to be like that, to do that. And if of course, not everybody thinks like that, but, for me personally,
no, but that's a good mindset to be in.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I remember
it kind of manifests. Sorry. I was saying it kind of manifests into a little bit higher level success than what you normally would have had you just been, oh yeah, I'll get the camera. People will see that I'm working. People will know what I'm up about. And all that. Kind of forcing it into people's faces and forcing people to take notice of you, I think, is a big thing.
Well, so I 100% agree with that, and I think that now too, the amount of technology that enables you to be multitasking can be a blessing and a curse, because like I find it hard to like put my phone down, but not because I'm on Facebook and playing games and that sort of thing, but because I'm constantly working something.
Just networking, right?
Yeah, my music stuff or the podcast or just everything is going on at once, and I find it difficult to just put that away. I was thinking about getting one of those. They sell these phones now that just give you like email, or not email, text messaging and phone calls. So you like
they're called flip phones, dude.
No, but you like sync it to your smartphone, right? So that you
right.
Still have your smartphone, but it like forwards just your text messages and your phone calls.
It keeps all those distractions out of the way so that you could focus on business without having to be like, oh man, people have been commenting on my Facebook.
No.
Let me jump over.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is so that it's just interpersonal conversation and it's not work, because I don't I tried to look, because my girlfriend likes to play games on her phone too. I don't think I have any games on my phone, or like even Facebook. I would delete it if it wasn't for like this kind of thing that I need to promote. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have.
I think we talked about this with Cody Hunt. You were saying that you don't think you have even a single one game whatsoever on your phone.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, maybe is there a default game on an iPhone? I don't think there is.
I don't think so. No, I don't think there's any games that come default.
But so
yeah, they don't have like this snake come on the old phones.
Well, Minesweeper, you know.
Oh, Minesweeper. But I think it's interesting
I never forget that game.
Dude, I can explain it to you. There's some ins and outs. You got to learn how. You got to like flag where the mines are. The numbers tell you how many boxes are touching mines and what. It's like a whole thing. My grandma was like a master at it for some reason. She was like a true gangster at Minesweeper.
I never.
Bro, I just click, boom, damn. Click, boom, damn. Like.
So I guess what I'd like to get to the heart of, and I think that what amazes me about you, Chris, is that I've heard your name, and I've seen you around not only town, but I've heard you a lot, and I want to give people the ability to emulate kind of the mindset. Let me ask you this. So you went to school for psychology. Did you pick something specific? Like, was it to become a psychologist, or was it something within the psychology field?
I mean, honestly, it was. I never went to school. I never went to school saying like I'm gonna be a psych. Like I want to be a psych major. What actually ended up happening is when I went to college, I wanted to be an international business major. Because I took French for a long time, and then I wanted to do business because of my dad. So I was like, oh, international business, I think that'd be cool. So when I went there, I was like, okay, well, since I'm doing business, let's take a psychology class so I can understand how people think. So I took the psychology class. I was like, oh, this is dope. So then after I took the psychology class, I took another I took abnormal psych. Then I took another psych class. Then I went and had a meeting with my advisor, and they're like, yo, you took all psychology classes. You might as well just switch your major to psychology. I said, oh, okay. So I ended up switching my major to psych because that was what was piquing my interest. So I was going to go into early childhood developmental psychology, but with psychology, you really can't do anything without a master's or a PhD. Right. And I was going to end up going back to school, but just the way, my path and the way my life went, just, I ended up becoming a photographer. So, but I used the colleges was a good experience, just to learn and network. And I feel like I've learned more just from the, networking aspect of college and just the experience of the college in general, in life just in life, life lessons that you learn in college day. And that's really helped me out in my business and knowing how to treat people, interact with different people and stuff like that. So I definitely took a lot from it and I applied it to my business. But yeah, I didn't even know I was going to be a psych major when I went to college. Honestly, it just was what, I ended up falling into.
I'm super interested in psychology too. I actually,
it's really dope, man.
It interests me to the point, like I think that's why I do this, is because I enjoy kind of digging into people's brains, but I don't have a PhD. So I can't be like, oh, you don't hire me to be your doctor so that you can just talk to me for a while. Especially like I'd like to get, people that I don't like to reference, but like psychological disorders, right? Like I want to see what's going on with human people's brains, like where they're going with stuff. And I think we all have like parts of that stuff, and then things go to extremes in certain people. And I'm really interested in the entrepreneurial side of that. Like what drives someone to do that? Because there is and I say this because I'm in that same mindset, but there's really something wrong with entrepreneurs where they want to be like is it sadomasochist, right? Where you're doing it to yourself or whatever, like you want to be hurt. Like I feel like we put ourselves in situations that are terrible, but on purpose because we love it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's these situations where
like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah. And you get used to that feeling, and it almost feels like boring if you're not in the midst of that like chaos and the
I actually can definitely relate. It's like if you're not, it's like I feel like I work best under pressure. So I mean, it's kind of weird. It's like sometimes I'll have a lot of shoots and then I'll have my edits back up on me. Now all of a sudden it's like I got my back to the wall. I gotta grind it out and get these edits done. And then it's like when I have all the edits done, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I feel like I should be doing something. I don't feel right. So it's like I definitely understand what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
So not to drop a bombshell on you guys, but I too also swore that I wanted to go to school for psychology, and yeah, and I actually like went to MCC. I was a communication major at first, and I started taking some of my psychology classes, and like I was bombing them, but I was like, yo, this shit is so fun, like it's so interesting to learn about. And I think I ended up taking some like 101 like an embarrassing amount of times, like maybe like 3 times. And on my 3rd attempt, I was like acing it. I was like, I finally understand what cognitive function means. I finally understand that. Like I learned so much. Finally, it took me a little bit longer, but then I ended up kind of like falling out of college entirely. And I was like taking classes here, there, and like once I actually decided that like, all right, I'm not going to get a degree for something in the entertainment industry. I need to get a degree in something practical, like maybe English or something like that, that can give me a certain level of credential, you know, transitioning into the entertainment world. And I ended up like, I think I ended up staying like liberal arts, but I focused heavily on English and children's literature actually. And a lot of the classes I ended up having to take ended up, you know, falling into like child psychology, human development, and like death and dying. I ended up taking like all these other classes that I feel like ended up kind of translating into understanding how the brain works and understanding like how to remain mindful, and then being mindful then translated into everything else that like, you know, ultimately ended up, you know, benefiting me and what I do now. But
so
that's dope.
One thing that you just brought up is that was a question that was I had forgotten that I was going to ask you it, Chris, honestly. But you brought up something about almost like legacy, right? You had said something about like I want to be, or I see myself as a millionaire, or as a whatever it is, like, you know. Super successful. Right. And I think that it sounds so dark when I say it, when I vocalize it, but I think I've vocalized it in the past. It's like this realization that at some point you're no longer going to be on the planet. And so you want to leave a legacy that is impactful on as many people as possible. Like you want to spread whatever your human capabilities are to everyone that's left behind. And I think what I see in entrepreneurs is that. And I don't know what gets entrepreneurs to that point where they say, I need to leave this behind. And I don't think it's, I'm afraid of death or I'm afraid of dying or that sort of thing. There's something more like hopeful about it. Like almost like I know that the things that I have learned by being alive can be eternal, and I want other people, like I was saying to you before, I want other people to share in the joy that I found in the lessons that I've learned from going through the hardships that I've gone through. And
definitely.
I think, like you said, like it's legacy, man. And you want to, like you're saying, leaving something for the people that are coming behind you, the generational wealth for your family. You know, you want to help build generational wealth for your family, so the people that come behind you, you know, they might not have to work as hard, even though you want them to work hard. But you know, you leave them with something where it's like, you know, something that's impacting them in a very positive way. Me personally, you know, when my time is up here on this earth, I just want people to be able to say, you know, Good News is a real positive person. He helped change my life. You know, he helped instill a mindset in me that helped, you know, me better my life. I always wanted to be like a person that people could look up to. You know, I wanted to. I'm a very helpful person. You know, I'm a very, you know, a lot of things come from the heart when it comes to. So like that's what I want my legacy to be. You know, how I can impact others, and
for sure,
and hopefully, you know, impact them way.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris, because we're going to go deep, being that you majored in psychology. So, my thought about some of the I don't want to say, okay, some of the despair that exists in the current generation comes from a lack of that desire, and I don't want to call it a legacy, but the desire to leave a legacy. And what I mean by legacy is this meta version of yourself, because Christopher Cardwell sees himself as the future self of being the super successful, whatever that means. I don't think that means money for you. I think that means
Way deeper than it.
yeah,
Right.
like it's way deeper. It's the version of yourself that is, and we've brought up religion a few times here on the show too. But it's like that's what God is. If that makes sense, it's like this meta version of you in the future that is the perfect version of Christopher Cardwell. That when you go beyond this life, you have left behind all that you could be, and that's God, right? That you're striving to your entire life. And I think that naturally leaves behind a legacy and things for future generations and people that experience, especially in the creative field. They get to experience your work. They get to actually come and interact with you physically and see your pictures and things that get left beyond you, in the sense that you have physical media that gets left behind. But I feel like the dogma of, I don't know if you're a religious guy or not.
I'm more spiritual, not as much religion.
I feel like the absence of religion right now in society has left a hole, and it's understandable that has happened because of the dogma and the errors that organized religion has made, that has caused that to be like people don't want to be associated with it or go along with it, especially like Christianity and that sort of thing has had some, left a bad taste in people's mouth. But I think there is a hole there, that certain people have figured out a way to do in a secular way. Like you just said, you're spiritual, but you're not necessarily religious, right? But you have
I can explain what I mean.
yeah. So you have like this idea of God, which is future Chris, super successful, right? That as you strive towards that brings you joy and happiness. And I feel like there is a lot of emptiness and despair that is due to the fact that isn't something, and I don't want to say because religion has generally left, our societal norms, like it's not cool to be, to go to church and that sort of thing. But that has left a big hole that nothing is there to fill anymore, except for things like, Facebook and Instagram and that sort of thing, that they get this superficial feeling of I'm doing something, but they don't actually have that future vision of themselves.
Right.
So yeah, you said you had
I think
a way to describe. Hold on, Biz. I guess Chris, just explain what you were gonna say there.
So like me personally, like when I was saying like I'm more of a spiritual person, not as religious, but me personally, I definitely believe in a God. I definitely believe in God. I definitely believe in a creator, because we all had to come from something, right? We all had to come from somewhere. But when it comes to actual religion, and I don't have anything really against religion or any religion or people going to church. My mom is heavy in Christianity, and I have nothing against that. I was heavy in the church myself for a very, very, very long time. But just in my own, from things that I've learned, and this is just my own personal thinking and my own opinion, right? And I try to keep things as simple as possible, like when I think about things. So when I think about, religion, right? And like, once again, I say it's my own personal opinion. When I think of Christianity, right? And you say you got somebody that lives a perfect life as a Christian, perfect life as a Christian, go to church, they accept Jesus Christ into their heart, they treat people how they want to be treated, so on and so forth, and then you have somebody that's like a Buddhist monk, right? So say if you have like, because different religions will say, okay, we're the main religion. If you don't believe in our religion, then
Right.
You'll possibly go to hell. So it's like, say you have somebody that lives a perfect life as a Christian, But then, if Buddhism was the real religion, you can't tell me that person that lives their perfect life as a Christian, treats people right, goes to hell. Yeah. Or a person that's, a Muslim, that lives their life perfectly as a Muslim, and then or Christianity was the main religion, and they don't go to heaven because now they didn't accept Jesus Christ in their heart, but they did everything in their power to live righteous, to treat people right, to read the Quran and do and follow their religion. In my mind, I don't like, whatever God there is or creator that we serve or that brought us apart would be, that, I don't want to say that mean or vicious that he would send people to hell that don't necessarily believe in a certain religion or like that live their life perfect as a religion. And, unfortunately, because, you're a Buddhist, but you didn't accept Jesus in your heart. So, you're going to hell. Like, I don't, in my mind, that just doesn't make sense, so I just try to keep it really simple. And I just say, for me personally, it's like, you're treating people right, always treating people right, treating people how you want to be treated. You're putting out love to the universe and the atmosphere. You're treating people with love and positivity, and you're trying to become the best version of your treating yourself with self-love, and then you're constantly trying to elevate your knowledge of self. And those are the things that I necessarily believe in and gravitate towards. And that's just kind of like my own mentality that I've kind of come up with from just years of experience of studying different religions and learning different things. Like I said, I just try to keep it simple, and that's just kind of what I believe. So me personally, like, I'm always trying to treat people how I want to be treated. I always want to put out love and positivity. I always want to make sure that I'm trying to do the right thing, because one thing my dad taught me, saying it's not what you do when people are looking, but what you do when they're not, what I'm saying? So it's always trying to, make sure that even when people aren't looking, I'm still trying to be the best person I can be, and put that out there. So, but people that go to church, and if they need that church, they need church for motivation and, to keep themselves on the right track, please do that. I don't have anything against that, but that's just my own thoughts. I still, support my mom going to church, and I really don't talk about my religious beliefs too much because, it kind of gets like a little, people can get a little touched at it, but that's just my own.
No, thoughts. I agree. And Biz, before you continue, I just want to ask one little follow-up question to what you just said. So, do you think from like a psychological level, right? Because you said your mom was very religious, so you had a lot of, was it Christian? Christian is your family like Christian?
Yeah, Christianity. Yep.
So you had those stories and that stuff kind of given to you, and I'm assuming that at some point you went to like a Christian church and that sort of thing, and you heard stories and that while you were a kid. Do you think on a psychological level some of that stuff is there unconsciously as you progress? And what I'm trying to get to here is that I'm in the same boat. I went to like Catholic school when I was in grammar school. I had two Franciscan monks as great uncles that used to do Sunday mass at my grandma's house before dinner. And I went to high school that was a Catholic, all boys Catholic high school. And at the time, I very much was, I guess, rejecting the religious, the dogmatism of it, and the rituals and all that kind of stuff. And I was almost rejected the actual book. It was almost like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? I felt like there was no worth to it because it was these superficial stories, that sort of thing with it. And as I'm now growing older, I'm looking back at the books, and what a good thing I did was I was kind of reading the Bible and the Torah at the same time, like kind of paragraph for paragraph.
English Torah, you're talking?
Yeah. At one point, just back to back. I don't read any other English or any other languages, Biz. But
I only ask because truly religious fanatics would say that technically you're not reading the Quran or the Torah if you're not reading it in the language that they're native in.
But what I'm trying to say is, do you think that there were things psychologically from being a psychology major that maybe were given to you like almost gifts within those stories, that maybe are missing, even though you don't want to force today's society to accept the dogmatism of the religion, even though that may be a part of it that needs to happen. I think that I got something from it, even though after years of it being just shoved almost down my throat, I was like, that's enough of that. Like, I can't do that anymore. But I feel like I did get something, and there's something that drives me from that experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely took a lot from the religion, or from Christianity, just from having faith, and being able to believe in yourself, and in the Bible they say, speak things of not as though they were, you know what I'm saying? So that, and for me, that's just speaking positivity, speaking things that you want into existence. Once again, faith, be able to believe in making things happen. And, even if something's not there, having the belief that you can still do it, no matter what, having that drive. And prayer. I mean, even though, I'm not, like I said, even though I'm not really, like I said, super into religion, but I still pray. I still pray. I still, put that energy out there. I still express a lot of gratitude and being thankful. So yeah, I definitely did take, religion definitely did have a very positive effect on me, but just as I got older and I just started thinking, like, just seeing all these, we have hundreds of religions, and just, seeing different, and then seeing how, fortunately our church has a great pastor, but just seeing how different spiritual leaders move, in certain situations is just like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I'll for sure say this too, that especially Catholicism and Christianity has its caveats that need to be put in check with regards to the organized religion and that sort of thing that can be harmful. But I think we're I think there's something to that needs to be explored a little bit. And I don't know what can be extracted. Like I think a lot about alcohol, because I owned a bar. Biz, see how I just dropped that, Biz? Did you hear me?
Oh my God, of course I heard you. I know what's coming every time. I mean,
but like, you can distill some of the good stuff, which I feel like you just did, where you have this future version of yourself. You pray, which is almost like it's almost like telling yourself the story of where you want to be. It's like the asking of the universe, or in your own mind saying, this is where I'm going to be, the faith that you are going to get there, even though there will be hardships along the way. Like, there's some sort of lessons in there that we're losing, and I don't know what the answer is. I've never said that I have answers to what that means. I think there is danger in some of the dogma of it, of organized religions, and then I think that there is a lot of benefit that is being lost by completely getting rid of it from our society and saying we're going to be completely secular, and there's just going to be laws, and if you murder someone, then you're going to jail, and that's the end of, like, that. I don't think that's the end of it, because us as human beings have these made up versions of ourselves that we need to strive for in order to be happy. So, and I know I cut Biz off a bunch of times, so Biz, if you want to.
Bro, if you even remotely think that I remember the random comments that I was going to say some 20 minutes ago when you told me to hang on, like, bro, I feel like what happens ever since I went a little bit viral here on TikTok, whenever we do this, you guys get into a pocket, and then I start talking with these people over here, and then you're like, all right, what were you going to say? And I'm like, I've had like 6 conversations over here. I checked my phone a few times.
You gotta figure out a way to get this conversation onto TikTok so that they can join in on the conversation. Because
I mean, technically, if we did it in the studio, like if you and I did this together again, we could run it that way. I mean, I'm sure eventually it'll get back to that. But
let's do this too, because I want to be respectful of your time, Chris. So I know we've been going here for a while.
It's been a great conversation, though, man. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think that I remember when you lent me the lights, I was like, oh, that guy's, like, you were just kind of helping me for no reason at all. And I was like, all right, that guy's cool. And not just because you were helping me personally, but I was like, oh, that's
Great people are great people. They're
yeah,
recognizable.
like oh, let me just, I'll just give you this because I know it's gonna be better, and this is one of my
Honestly, bro, it's one of those type of things that it's like I do for others what I would want done for me. So if I see somebody that needs the help, you know, a lot of people aren't going to ask for help. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I see it, I'm going to do whatever I can to you know, make it the best that it could possibly be. If I have the ability to do that, you know what I'm saying? I have the lights. I see you guys working. Shit, go ahead, take them. You know,
use some lights. Yeah.
Yeah, go make your project the best it can be. You know, I understand lighting, I understand photography. I know that you guys are probably going for a certain look, you know, but I do that with anything I possibly can. Like if I see somebody on the street, you know, that needs some help, or like, you know, if I see, you know, an old lady needing help carrying some stuff, I'll just offer to, you know, carry it. You know, I'm just, that's just my mentality, because if I need help or something, you know, if I'm just sitting there out there, you know, I would want somebody to help me. So I believe that, you know, by sowing those seeds and, you know, and this is another one. I live my life through phrases a lot. That's one of the things. I'm kind of old school like that. My dad is from the old school. He kind of got me into that. So, you know, one of the things I live by is, you know, be a blessing to receive a blessing. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're not being a blessing to others, how can you possibly expect to receive a blessing for yourself? So it's like, I'm always constantly thinking that, like, how can I be a blessing to others, you know, to possibly, you know, have, you know, my blessing come back to me in some way or form in the future, you know, whenever I need it. So that's just my mentality, you know?
Nah, I think that's a good way to be, for sure. And I think that it touches on what you were saying before, you know what I mean? Like people that are super religious that can, you know what I mean? Like put up a stink because you're not the same religion as them and stuff like that. And then ultimately try to judge you or
busier.
say that like, oh, you're not going to make it into the prom, like push for.
You were freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, I got a call, I think, and it messed with it because I connected to my hotspot because my Wi-Fi was giving me such problems. But what I was saying is that like people that get to that mindset where they're like judging you to the point, or they're saying something to the point that like you're not on the same page with them, and therefore they're in a position over, you know what I mean? Like I don't know any of the religions, let alone the big three, that really promote judging people or disconnecting people from love or from help or from, you know what I mean, those things, just like what you're saying. Like
are you still in the midst of Ramadan?
Yeah, it is. It's I think day 21.
When does Ramadan end? When
So
does it end?
this
It's
year
30 days.
Yeah, this year it's 30 days, and it should be over. I think May 12th is the last day of fasting is going to be May 12th, and then the actual like Eid celebration would be on the 13th. Give or take.
So
based on the moon, so like.
What'd you say?
Yeah, man.
I said I have a lot of friends that celebrate Ramadan.
Yeah.
Biz has been getting ripped over there from Ramadan fasting.
Yeah, if only. Yeah, I was gonna say that's what happens. I always tell people like, yo, like fasting brain is a thing. You know what I mean? Like, bro, once it gets to the late hours, once you've like exhausted yourself working, like I still work on film sets. I got a film gig tomorrow that runs like, it's only like 5 hours, but like 12 to 5. And they usually have me grip. So like I'm gonna be up and down on the ladder, sweating, moving lights. Like,
see,
is what it is.
And this is something that I think
gotta fight through it.
It's
man, you got to do what you got to do.
It's tough to separate, and I'm gonna stop talking about religion now for a second. But I think like Ramadan, right? So you're fasting during that, but there's something to be said for the dogma of that, right? The doing of that activity, or the going to church, that is like in service of the ideas that are behind it. I don't know if you can throw that out either, but I can't say that for sure, because you could probably do fasting without the religion and all that stuff, but I think you have to have a program around it, right? Because you can't just say, oh, I'm going to fast whenever I feel like it. You have to have someone be like, you're going to fast right now, because otherwise you never do it. You know, I
think part of the thing though is that like
and there are lessons in it.
For like the Ramadan fast, it's more than just sustaining from food and water. Like I told whatever guest it was, like one of the first weeks, that like you can't smoke, you can't drink anything, you can't eat anything, you can't have sex during the daylight hours, which, sorry. But as far as the mindset it puts you into, it's more so about putting yourself into a better mindset that you're in most of the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily about sustaining just from food and drink, because if you're sick, if you're old, if you're young, you don't really fast. You know what I mean? And instead, you kind of be more mindful about how you're treating others, how people are receiving you, how you're dealing with, you know, the struggles and traumas that come your way. So it's like, it's a little bit more than just not eating, not drinking. I think that from kind of like a superficial stance, you know what I mean? You see a fasting person, they're like, oh my God, they're so hungry, they're so thirsty. Like, how are they doing it? But in reality, there's a lot more going on in your mind outside of not eating and drinking that actually are kind of distracting you from not eating or drinking. So it's, you know what I mean? Like, obviously the no food, no water serves a benefit. It detoxes you. It helps promote, like, you know, insulin creation and like reduce like blood pressure, things like that. But at the same time, if you're not careful, you're not consuming enough water during your downtime, you could easily dehydrate yourself. You could easily be sick. There's people that have to take medication throughout the day that can't do it. You know what I mean? So it's really just more so about keeping in that mindful headspace of being a better person and becoming a better person, not necessarily just starving yourself through the hours, you know?
So on that,
and a certain level of discipline too, because a lot of discipline comes with Ramadan
for sure
too. So it's
Absolutely.
like, you know, you're even like, you know, practicing when it comes to Ramadan. When I think
there's
about it,
there's
you know,
reading more and praying more too. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's already the standard 5 prayers you typically do. You know what I mean? But like during Ramadan, there's even more. Like, there's like 2 hours worth of prayers that like aren't necessarily obligatory. You know what I mean? Like, you do what you want. Like, at the end of the day, that's how I say about every religion. When people are like, oh my God, you can't have pork. Oh my God, you can't drink alcohol. Like, technically, can implies capability. I could do those things if I wanted to. I just, do I want to? Like, nah, not really. So like, it's not really because of religion that I don't do a lot of those things. It just coincidentally enough that, you know what I mean? I do follow a faith that does offer a bit more of like restrictions, I guess you could say, on some things that people don't necessarily understand, like the pork thing and the alcohol thing, the no tattoos. Like, all of those things are fundamental in that sort of faith and belief and everything. But at the same time, if you drink alcohol, you get tattoos, you eat pork, I mean, you're not a Muslim. You're not a believer of Jesus. You're not a believer of the Torah just because you don't follow all the rules that those particular clusters,
well,
you know what I mean? Like,
you personally, Biz, you'll go to hell for sure. But
that's rude. So rude. Feelings hurt.
So fucking keep to it, all right? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. Obviously.
But no, on that, I think that's that's a good place to kind of stop the discussion. And I think,
for sure,
I think it's interesting, like growing up in the situation that I grew up in. I think, again, Chris, like I just wanted to get into that a little bit because I'm interested, but I see it as a pattern of people that do what you do. That there's something there. There's something right behind it all, and it may not be religion. It may be just your parents instilling, you know, things in you that are there. So I guess let's do this. If we could, let's drop some links and where people can find your stuff again, and we'll call it. Yeah.
All right, great. So if you guys want to, you know, follow my work, check me out. My website is goodnewsphotography.com, or you can also get to my website from goodnews.me. That's spelled GOODKNEWS. M is in Michael, E is in excellent. You can also find me on Instagram at I_am_good news or Good News Photography on Instagram, and on Facebook, the Good News Photography Lounge. Let's work.
Let's do it. And I got to get with you after this. Maybe not today because I've already had a couple of whiskeys, but I do need some band photos. So I'm going to get that done too. And if you're go pay him for some photos because he'll.
Truth be told, somebody asked me, Biz, do you know a good photographer that can produce like probably like some real good results real fast? And I was like, honestly, I know so many photographers, but first one comes to mind is Chris Cardwell.
Yep. That's it.
So you might have gotten a new follower recently that might hit you up because they were looking to have some behind the scenes photos for a short they were doing. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. Nice. So follow us on YouTube if you're not already. There's a link.
I will.
Did you ever drop the email?
What?
Did you ever drop the email?
I did.
Oh,
earlier,
thank God.
Again, infiltrateradiopodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and again, click on those links by the drinks that we're drinking, please. Do you got any drink, Biz? You got anything there?
Of course not. Why would you say something cruel and unusual like that? I can't
My
drink for like another 25
all we got,
minutes.
all we got is Poland Spring and some.
Teasing you, bro. He's teasing you.
I've got a couple. So I
Starbucks
stocked up. I stocked up on some pretty dope drinks
I'll-
right before.
You know what I'll
this.
do? I'll post a link to whatever that Bob Marley poster behind you is.
Yeah, Bob Marley
Shop.
makes a drink. Bob Marley
go.
Mellow Mood, man. I
There
drank
you
it
go.
once
Oh.
and passed out for hours.
There you go. Perfect. We'll post that. Click on those links. Buy it. Drink it. And Biz doesn't have to have his terrible Wi-Fi that causes him to not be on the show for more
man.
than 75% of the show.
Now we got you
brutal.
on here, bro.
That was
Good to
brutal.
see
I'm
you.
so sad I missed
Keep going
so much
too,
of my
man.
life.
All right. So I'm Patrick Joanne.
I'm Bizzle Chance.
And
I'm good news.
Yeah, there you go. And tune in next time, and we'll see you guys on the next.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Infiltrate Radio.